Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. We're bringing back a question, a case that has been over for over a month, but everyone keeps asking us the question. Jennifer Soto. You see Jennifer Soto on the screen, that pathetic face, that was pathetic in more ways than her face, but in her actions, in allowing her daughter to be abused and murdered by her boyfriend, Stephan Stearns. And from the very beginning, myself, Mike Geary, Phil Grimaldi had said, oh, there's no way she's going to skate around this. There's no way she's not getting prosecuted. She will get prosecuted, but they're going to need her testimony to put Stephan Stearns away for life. But guess what? So far, and it looks like so far is going to be forever in this case, she has not been charged. And she probably will not be charged because she received something called derivative immunity. So she told the truth, and she apparently wasn't even required to testify because, look, maybe in a hearing that we don't know about, but there was no trial because we all know that this man here on the left of this triple picture here, the thumbnail, Stephan Stearns, we all know that he pled guilty and received life without parole, And as a case of all the cases that I've covered, Police Off the Cuff has covered, this was one of the most despicable human beings I have ever encountered in my podcasting career as well as my police career. He's just a pathetic, pathetic individual. And he is where he belongs for the rest of his life. He's in a state prison. And he should never, ever walk the face of this earth a free man. But in the same vein, I believe that Jennifer Soto should also be charged. And it looks like she's not going to be. It looks like she's going to be a free woman. How free is she? Well, I think her life is probably a miserable one. I think she's beset by mental illness. Let's face it, she lost her 12-year-old, 13-year-old daughter. She had Madeline Soto had just turned 13 years old and had lived a life of hell at the hands of this man here, Stephan Stearns, for at least 3 to 4 years. And Jennifer Soto was an enabler. She enabled this to happen. So we're going to get into this tonight, and we're going to talk about why has she not been charged? Will she ever be charged? We don't know for sure, folks, but hold on to your hats. Hold on to your loved ones. Hold on to your cup of coffee. Hold on to your thoughts. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone. The Police Off the Cuff Zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
And now a word from our sponsor. FanDuel is the new sponsor for the Police Off the Cuff podcast, and it will appear on the Believe Network. On Tuesday, August 26th, it's FanDuel Futures Day, a new holiday for football fans. It's 24 hours of deals on all your football season predictions. So take a flyer on the MVP race. Who's your pick for MVP? Crown your champion in August. Who is your Super Bowl pick? Or parlay your division winner, dark horses. Mark your calendars. This is your day for your hunches, your hot takes, your calls, and your odds. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. You must be 21 and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgambling.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE New York, at least, or test Hope New York in New York. So, folks, that is our sponsor, FanDuel. So, what we want to do now is I'm going to bring in my co-host, Professor at Albertus Magnus, retired NYPD Sergeant, attorney. Welcome to the show, Professor Mike Geary. Welcome, Mike.
Bill, good evening. Thank you for having me on. Good to see you.
You know, Mike, I think this show is sort of, in a way, timely, but a little bit untimely. So this case sort of got out of everyone's consciousness, but people are still asking us, why hasn't Jennifer Soto been charged? And will she ever be charged? And I think at this point, Mike, my thoughts are no, she will not be charged. What are your thoughts?
Bill, since the investigation into poor Madeline Soto's death has been finished, it's been closed, there's no further investigation. It does not look like that Jen Soto is going to face any sort of criminal prosecution for anything related to that tragedy of that poor girl. It's possible somewhere in the future, somehow, in some circumstances, something new may come to light, but that's really doubtful. So given what has occurred already, that the investigation is all taken care of, she was given immunity for her testimony against him, that they were going to use a trial. Therefore, she's in the clear. She's got what they call derivative use immunity, and that is immunity from the words that and the actions that are derived from your testimony. She didn't get the full transactional immunity, so that leaves a little space available for her to possibly be charged in the future. You know, it's shocking because we all saw her talking to detectives and revealing a lot of what was going on behind the scenes before poor Madeline was unalived. But yeah, it's this is not a stellar day in law enforcement or anything good at all. This is really bad news, that what's going on with Jen Soto.
Absolutely. On the night before Madeline Soto was first reported missing and likely killed, her mother, Jennifer Soto, who you see a picture of up on the screen, sent her 13-year-old daughter to sleep in the same bed as Stephan Stearns, the man who was eventually charged with her murder, according to new evidence in the case. Well, not evidence, he's pled guilty. Madeline was first reported missing on February 26th after she didn't make it to school that day, and her body was found in rural Osceola County on March 1st. About 2 months later, Stearns, her mom's boyfriend, was charged with first-degree murder after investigators determined that the teenager was likely already dead before the school bell rang that day. Investigators said a limp body, believed to have been Madeline's, was seen on traffic cams in front seat of Stearns' car that morning. Additionally, an indictment against Stearns said he allegedly killed the teen between February 25th and February 27th. No charges for anyone else in Madeline Soto homicide case at this time, according to the Kissimmee police. So that is the big question we have, is why? Why, with all that Jennifer Soto knew, her complicity, her assistance, I'll even call it that, her assistance in this case. Look, the most egregious thing, Mike, was that she said, go up to the bed together. Like, what is a 12-year-old girl doing sleeping with a 37-year-old man in the same bed who's not her father, right?
Right.
And the mother, Jennifer Soto, condoning it. What is that all about, Mike? And why, when the authorities know this and the authorities know what happened with the hundreds of images on his phone and the essay and all of the things that took place, again, why is Jennifer Soto not being charged?
Yeah, Bill, when you look back at that video, and we saw there, it's been shown on TV many times. It's an overhead camera, and she's sitting in like a waiting room. I think she was looking to get the car released after they had gone through it, and so she was there talking to the two detectives, and they broached that subject with her, and she really basically was very candid and said, yes, sometimes I send them upstairs. I send them upstairs, I think is her words. I send them upstairs to sleep because there are times where I need a really good night's sleep. And she hesitated for a second. And then she said, oh, but we also, sometimes all three of us will sleep together in one bedroom to try to, I think, cover up for what she realized was a faux pas, because the detectives were like, excuse me, they were very, very quiet and composed. And then, with what she said, just revealed that she knew that this is a problem. And therefore, and then she was shown a picture of what had come from his phone. And she sat there and said, okay, but I understand that happened, but I still didn't believe that he could ever harm my child. It's really telling that she is knowingly risking her daughter's safety with someone who's not a relative and whose Jen's is her own 37-year-old boyfriend, and actually intentionally doing that. But at the time, I think that she said that the police were shocked, but they were preparing that homicide case against Stephan. They didn't know that he would eventually plead guilty. They were getting ramped up for a homicide case, a murder case, and they wanted, he was number one suspect. They wanted him, and they used her for extra testimony about what was going on in that house, what she knew, when things may have occurred, because she was all over the place earlier. But they were preparing for trial, and therefore they had a choice: to go after both of them or to go after one of them, who we have as rock solid case against, and forgive her some of the horrific criminal activity that she engaged in. So they compelled her to come in with a subpoena. She could not refuse. She went into that meeting with the Kissimmee authorities, and she was given immunity for all of the bad things that she admitted to them under oath. And since therefore she's done that, they can't use that against her. And so she was really well represented. And because they wanted to, be really thorough, the prosecutors, it's like with the mafia, you give a hitman immunity because you want to go after the Godfather. It's like, you're making deals with the devil. And in this case, the prosecutors dealt with the devil and gave her immunity, even though she admitted to setting up her daughter for abuse.
Salty Sleuth investigates. They didn't need Jen to put him away. Salty Sleuth, you're right, they didn't.
Right.
However, no one knew before they cut whatever deal they cut with her, if in fact that's what happened, that he was going to plead guilty.
Right.
But there was such, again, I'll use the term we've used a couple other times, overwhelming evidence against him that he did not want to risk the death penalty. And the death penalty is on the boards in Florida. So you're right, Salty Sleuth investigates. 100%. They didn't need her. But besides that, whether they needed her or not to testify, she committed a crime. She was complicit. She committed at least endangering the welfare of a minor. At worst, she committed complicity in a murder, because her mothering was nothing less than totally negligent. She was not a good mother. Let me play this from a local news station from when this occurred.
In the death of 13-year-old Madeline Soto, why prosecutors are now calling for an investigation into this local sheriff, and how the story Madeline's mother provided law enforcement doesn't line up with what investigators know. We spoke one-on-one with Jennifer Soto last Tuesday. Good afternoon. I'm Darlene Jones.
And I'm Greg Warmer.
So obviously this is early on in the investigation. The reason I play this is to watch Jennifer Soto's body language, to watch her concern or lack thereof, and to question whether you believe, you folks following this true crime story, and we all know the outcome, but whether you believe she was complicit, and why, if you believe she was, why was she never charged?
At that point, her daughter Madeline had been missing for 1 day. She told us that Stephan Stearns, her boyfriend and now the prime suspect in Madeline's death, had taken the teenager to school. She said the last conversation she had with the 13-year-old was the night before. But this report we got a hold of today shows she told deputies she saw her daughter the morning of her disappearance. Channel 9 investigative reporter Shannon Butler has been digging into the details of this case. She joins us live in studio. And Shannon, that's not the only thing you noticed in this new report.
Greg, no one has been charged in Madeline Soto's death, but we do know investigators are looking into who knew what.
I just want to underline the fact this is an old report. That's why they're speaking in terms of things that had not yet happened. So just realize that.
And when. And some of that means looking at those initial interviews of the couple and the ones later on. Sources tell me the statements about the timeline are not consistent. Jennifer Soto told us last week that the last conversation she had with her daughter was about her 13th birthday party the night before Maddie disappeared.
I told her goodnight and yeah, that was it.
But according to documents, Sunday night was not the last time Soto saw Maddie. New documents show that Maddie's mom told deputies on February 26th that she saw her daughter getting dressed for school at 8 o'clock that morning, and that her boyfriend then took the teen to school. But since that initial report was taken, we learned from the Orange County Sheriff that Maddie was likely dead earlier than that.
Our detectives have determined that Madeline was never dropped off. Instead, we believe she was already dead at the time, and that Stephan Stearns moved her body in the early morning hours on that day.
Channel 9 has been going through statements from Stephan Stearns and Soto trying to piece together what happened in the last few hours of the little girl's life, starting with our interview of the couple. Her mom told us last week.
We dropped her off at school, close to school. She wanted to walk the rest of the way.
But in that same interview, then said,
I wasn't the one who took her to school in the morning. That was my partner. But yeah.
Detectives believe Maddie was likely dead early Monday morning because the video timeline shows Maddie's belongings being dumped in a dumpster at 7:35 by Stearns. At 8:19, Sheriff Mina said video shows Maddie in Stearns' vehicle believed to be deceased. Since then, the case has moved to Kissimmee Police, and sources tell us that Soto has been interviewed multiple times by detectives at 2 agencies, and that they are looking closely at all the statements she's made. But officially, Kissimmee Police won't comment. So this initial report also shows that Stearns told investigators that after Maddie got out of his car, she stopped to look in that book bag before he drove away. That same book bag was found actually in the dumpster. After her death, he then said he went home for about an hour after going to the vape store and running errands. He was home that day until 2:30. Detectives say a tip showed him changing a flat tire not far from where the little girl's body was found that afternoon.
So that's, the reason I'm playing that. Carol, thank you so much. Carol Grayston gifted 5 police off-the-cuff memberships to 5 lucky people. Carol, thank you so much. Boston Christian from the chat. Jennifer will be moving to the state where he is imprisoned. So, she already lives there. He's imprisoned in the state of Florida. That's where this crime took place. So she already lives there. So she will not be moving anywhere if your theory is correct. So she doesn't miss a visitation. In my opinion, she'll be loving him from behind bars, writing him daily and talking on his tablet. In my opinion, I don't know Look, I think that based on my observations and following this case, I believe that Jennifer Soto has some severe mental health issues. Uh, I don't think she's all there. I think she's probably relies on drugs to get her up, to put her to sleep, to get her through the day. And that could be one of the reasons that law enforcement is not pursuing this case. That they they're they were going to use her as a witness till they realized they didn't need her as a witness, and it's almost like she's getting a free ride, Mike.
Yeah, Bill, I opined several times early on when we did this case back in 2024 that, don't worry, after they take care of Stephan Stearns, they're going to go after her because she's given up a lot of information, puts her squarely in the crime category as being complicit in the essay of her poor daughter knowingly doing this time and time again, admitting it to the police that she understood that these things were going on, that it's only going to be a matter of time. Wait till after his trial, and then they're going to charge her. Don't worry about statute of limitations. They got plenty of time. And then you come to realize that, they got tunnel vision and focused only on him. They had him obviously for the essay with all the photos, but for the homicide of poor Maddie, they, like any prosecutor, you want to tie up every loose string you possibly can. And I think they probably wanted to guarantee that she would be a prosecution witness, not a defense witness. And so therefore, they wanted to get her on the record, telling them everything that happened, all the intimate stuff that was going on. And in return, because she was compelled to do that by subpoena, she had good legal advice. The attorney went in there. They worked out a somewhat qualified immunity deal. And so going to trial, she was going to be an excellent witness for the prosecution. Unfortunately, or fortunately for maybe perhaps, depending on your view, he short-circuited everything by pleading guilty, a couple of weeks before the trial was about to begin. And so therefore, the work that the prosecutors did against him to guarantee her testimony was wasted. And so therefore, they unfortunately gave her that immunity. And unless something brand new comes up, something brand new that was never revealed before, something brand new, totally outside of what she talked about to the police in that interview when she was as a district attorney, when she was given immunity, that's the only way she could be charged with something. And with the case closed, it's 99.99% of a chance that she's going to skate on all of the terrible, horrific things that she did to Madeline, putting her in his grasp. And so unfortunately, she skates on this one.
Triple Crown from the chat. She may be mental, but she knew enough to fabricate a story and keep up the lies. Not so dumb. You're Triple
right.
Crown. I totally agree with you.
100%.
Michelle Flores. I think she did it out of jealousy, and he's taking the rap for everything he did, and she will be sticking by him privately. That's a possibility, but let's not have any sympathy whatsoever for Stephan Stearns. He's as bad as it gets. Schmitty Smacks. Okay, thanks, Professor Mike. I was thinking they are waiting and they'd get to her.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
We thought that. I swore while this case was going on that Jennifer Soto was going to be charged. They were just taking their time. And I guess at this point, I have to admit to being wrong. Never forget, people with truly suffering with mental illness should not be thrown in with this selfish druggie.
Yeah.
Well, Stephan Stearns wasn't all there either. He was a druggie himself. Jenny Dickey, didn't she want to move to her dad's house? Stephan Stearns got scared and did this. Mandy Strong from the chat. If they were going to charge her, they already would have by now. Mandy, I agree with you. And that's why we're doing this follow-up on this show, because we don't believe they are going to charge her. Lumiere, I hope I said that correct. You can tell by the questions the investigator were asking that they were onto her. Shocked and offended she hasn't been charged to this date. No, she hasn't been. And we're surmising and we're hypothesizing, I'll use a big word like that she's not going to be charged. Let me play this from Court TV.
I remember the time. I think I dropped her off in front of her school sometime between 8:15 and 8:45.
You say I. What do you mean by that? Did you drop her off that morning?
No, I'm speaking, sorry.
Okay.
As what Stephan was telling me. Stephan let me know that he dropped her off sometime between 8:15 and 8:45 on the road by the church close to her school.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking him, why so early? That's too early. School doesn't start until 9:30. Why did you drop her off that early? Oh, I don't know. We just left the house and made good time. I wasn't paying attention to the clock.
Okay. Did Madeline ever have like effects from taking the hydroxyzine in the morning? Like still be kind of sluggish?
Yes.
How often would that occur? Was that like every morning or not every morning?
Not every morning. If we happen to give her medication later than normal and routine, that would happen. But
Okay. And were there ever any instances where she had taken too much of the medicine? Perhaps you and Stephan had given her medicine, not knowing that the other person had?
Images and videos depicting.
Kim
And
Holmes,
on April 24th, Stearns was charged with first.
Kim Holmes from the chat. Didn't she also say she saw her getting ready that morning? Yes, and she obviously didn't, because we know now that she was dead. So there's another lie. You're right. Let me continue with this.
Degree murder. He pleaded not guilty.
The evidence shows an individual that was entrusted to keep Madeline safe made calculated moves to dispose Madeline's belongings and place her body in a wooded area before she was ever reported missing.
Investigators say Madeline was never dropped off or near her school. Surveillance video allegedly shows Stearns returning to the family's apartment complex the morning she disappeared, with Madeline visible in the car. Detectives believe she was already dead.
We know this case has gained significant public attention because Madeline had just celebrated her 13th birthday and was just a child. The indictment signifies a crucial step forward in our quest for justice.
Let's take a listen now to the start of that police interview with Jen Soto. This is Madeline Soto's mother, taken about a month after her daughter's body was discovered.
Good morning. We are at the State Attorney's Office in Kissimmee. It's 8:57 a.m. It is April 18th, 2024. I am William J. I am the Division Chief for the Homicide Unit. With me is Danielle Pinnell, also from the Homicide Unit in Kissimmee. Can the detectives identify themselves?
Detective Mark Morris.
Detective Kyle Smallwood. And with us is
Jennifer Soto.
With your attorney, Matthew Spark. All right. We went over some things before we went on the record and told you the opportunity to ask any questions that you need to ask. If you need a break to consult with your attorney, that is absolutely fine. We'll all step out of the room, turn off your recorders, and let you exercise your constitutional right to have counsel. There's no problem with that. There's water fountains here. There's restrooms. I don't know if you're a smoker or not, but if you get desperate, we can make an outside break time, but we are kind of under time constraints. With that all said, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, this is an investigative subpoena, so you've been compelled to be here. And in our country, under the 5th Amendment and 14th Amendment, as applied to you under the Florida Constitution as well, you cannot be forced to incriminate yourself. So anything you say today can't and won't be used against you unless you just don't tell us the truth. And I've already explained to your attorney, Mr. Bark, whether or not you've made any inconsistent statements in the past, that is dirt under the bridge, and either a misdemeanor was committed or it wasn't. But we're not going to be using that as a basis of some sort of perjury by false statements.
Oh, Mike, this is the hearing,
That's
obviously,
it.
where she gets the derivative immunity.
That's right.
And I think we're all sort of baffled as to why, when we know the background of this and the evidence that they have, but yet she's getting this derivative immunity. And this is the hearing or the interview. Because look, I think there's like a district attorney there, and there's at least 3 homicide detectives. Jennifer Soto is there with her attorney, and you heard them sort of lay out the rules, the rules that they're going to be guided by. But let's go back to this because this is interesting, and this is why she's not being charged. Just explained here.
Because those other charges wouldn't be perjury anyways. So the most important thing today is to tell the truth. I also explained derivative use immunity, which means if you said that there was a gun, and obviously there's no gun in this case, buried in your attorney's yard, we couldn't go dig up that gun if you told us that, oh yeah, there's the gun that was used is right there. We wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to show that we learned all those things independently from this interview. Okay? Do you have any questions? All right, so let's get started.
Before you start, let me just make sure we're clear on the record. I had, off the record, we had discussed our position on the concerns we have. Ms. Soto was interrogated by law enforcement previously. She was under a tremendous amount of duress and stress, being that her child was missing and then she was informed was found deceased. There's been media hysteria about this. There's been people asking for her to be prosecuted, tarred, feathered, executed. And so with that said, we have the concern that you brought up about if there's something said inconsistent today, not being used against her for filing a false police report.
All right, so for example, if she said something that was false then, and we have no idea that was false now before this interview, but she comes in and admits that it was false today, we can't use these statements or that admission that it was false against her, just like we couldn't use anything else against her from this interview.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to welcome our guests for this hour, criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira and Deputy Public Defender Philip Dubé.
Well, we're not going to listen to them, but Mike, this is laying out the ground rules for her interview, her derivative immunity, and this is. I have a problem with this. I do, because I just think, what was the point of giving her derivative immunity? What did they learn from her? Did they learn anything that they used against Stephan Stearns?
You know, she was well represented by the attorney. He went on the record and talked about that, about previous inconsistent statements. So they can't go back and say, well, we won't prosecute you for anything to do with poor Maddie's death or SA, but we'll prosecute you for a misdemeanor for filing a false police report, intentionally filing a false police report. That everything was swept under the rug, swept away. She starts off with a clean slate, and she probably repeated all the things she said to the police when she was very candid about, putting them in the same bed together, in the same bedroom together, and her not even being aware what was going on. And then, about she didn't think the SA was really abusive and all this other stuff that, just makes your head explode. She probably repeated all of that stuff. And I think they, for that, they got a witness who would tie up any loose, strings that may be around. And so therefore, on the day of what happened before Madeline died, the day before her 13th birthday party, and the next day, all that day, she would be able to talk freely about everything that went on and not be in any fear of her words being used against her. She could admit to, I didn't really see her go out that day. He was the only one who was up at that hour. Okay, good. So that helps the prosecutor realize there's nobody else around. It's just Stephan and Maddie. What time did they go out? What the conversations were when he returned? What they were given was an ability to really get the timeline down really exactly, and all the words that he had said to her and that she said back to him about where he was, what he was doing, and things like that. That would be really good to impeach him with at trial if he ever testified in his own behalf. So they got a witness who would just tie up all those little bows and all those little missing things that they just know about for sure, like what did actually happen at this point, what actually happened at that point. She would be able to provide them with that. So she really helped seal the case against him. Was it necessary? I don't think so. I think they had a great case, but as a prosecutor, you're always looking to tie up every single little unknown and to make sure that you get it down pat so you know exactly what happened. And in cases like this, we see this organized crime. You got to give somebody immunity. You go, who's worse, her or him? Well, she's not as bad as him because he's the one who we think essayed her and committed a homicide. She's an idiot. Let's give her immunity for her testifying. You got to make deals with the devil, and she got the deal. She got the deal in this case.
And I knew that was true, right? That's evidence. That's for real. That's happening. But I kept thinking, they're going. I don't know why I can't tell you why my brain kept thinking, no, he didn't kill her. Not that he didn't kill her, but she's still missing. She's still out there. She was taken. Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay. But I swore she was still, I felt in my body she was still alive. She was still out there. I told Chris to get him a lawyer because I felt like you guys were chasing the wrong person.
All right, let me ask you about.
So that was, we don't need these guys to tell us their thoughts. That was some of the testimony that really infuriated people, to listen to the things that she said, to listen to the things that she knew and when she knew them, yet she didn't put two and two together and say, oh, Stephan Stearns murdered my daughter, or Stephan Stearns was S.A.ing my daughter. I saw those pictures on his phone, but I just couldn't believe it. I mean, that is not okay. That is not a mother. A mother is supposed to protect her daughter. And Jennifer Soto did none of those things. She was an enabler. She allowed this absolute dirtbag, Stephan Stearns, to essay her daughter and ultimately to murder her daughter. And you cannot tell me that Jennifer Soto was that stupid that none of these things occurred to her, Mike.
Yeah, Bill, she is in denial. She was always in denial. We have no idea because we believe that the essay had been going on from the time that she was like 8, something like that. And therefore, she knew what probably was going on. But if she wasn't actually confronted with it and actually seeing the essay, she could, in her own mind, say, since I'm not being confronted with it, I don't see it. Maddie's okay. We've got our little family unit here, which is a little bit dysfunctional, but we got a family unit here. But seeing that when she's shown those pictures, she's still in denial. She's still in denial and telling the cops, telling that detective that even knowing what had been going on and seeing that picture, which she said, that's not okay, she was still convinced. She tells them she was still convinced that he couldn't possibly be his actions that she now knows and she already suspected for many years. There's no relation between him and those actions and her being missing. It couldn't possibly be that he could do that to her. She's not that stupid. She's in denial and she wants to distance herself from any sort, I think, of, even though she says crazy stuff, that she's trying to distance herself from any sort of liability because, she's not a lawyer. She doesn't really maybe fully understand the consequences of what she said, but she is absolutely squirming around. She's in denial. And I bet, as the person in the chat said, that she will be in contact with this guy. I have no doubt that couple, there's something weird going on in her brain and his brain, and it's totally dysfunctional. And poor Maddie was the victim for like at least 4 to 5 years of what had happened.
100%. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you like real crime, true crime from a police perspective, you're in the right place. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share us with your friends and your family, make lots of comments. And folks, we are now sponsored by FanDuel, sponsors the Police Off the Cuff podcast through the Believe Network. So if you are a sports gambler, you can go on the FanDuel site on the internet and you can place your bets with FanDuel. There's all kinds of different sports activities on there. FanDuel, the new sponsor of Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. So we are absolutely baffled again as to how and why Jennifer Soto has not been charged, nor do we think she will ever be. And when we watch this interview by this detective, we are just even baffled more.
Five places where you think he
In this area,
doesn't have to be this area.
No, I know.
Anywhere you want.
I'm saying in this area, I have no idea. Orlando, Kissimmee, no idea where he could have taken her. But his trip to Northport is weird as fuck. I feel like in Northport, he knows more people. He has more friends. There could be a place and somewhere there he could have stashed her. You guys said he went into a storage unit. That would be another place to look. But there's plenty of woods around his house. Around that exit is kind of secluded. Like,
when you say his house, you mean his parents' house?
His parents' house, yeah.
You've been there? Have you seen the property?
Yeah, I've been there before.
Do they have land? Or is it in like a neighborhood?
So it's not a neighborhood because they don't have HOA. You just buy the plot of land and build it. They don't have many neighbors.
Okay.
Or last I saw, I think there was a neighbor building right next door, but I don't know if they're done yet. I just feel like he had more. There would have been more spots in Northport for her to be dumped. Because from what you guys told me, he went to St. Cloud, he went to 192. Could you guys tell where he turned on?
Is that how you would talk about your daughter? There's more places she could have been stashed. There's more places she could have been dumped. Is that how you would refer to the body of your daughter? That sounds a little bit bizarre to me, Mike. It doesn't sound like a mother talking about her daughter. And that's another thing that I question here.
Bill, that whole interview is bizarre. Her affect, the way she speaks, her cadence, the way she interacts with the police, and after seeing the video, and the way she reacts to that stuff, and what she said, dumped, like, you get the feeling she's really detached from poor Maddie. That she's, people grieve in different ways, but in this case, she's almost like detached. That Maddie is a piece of luggage. And you don't see any sort of maternal bond at all. I tell people, I've told people you should actually Google this video and watch the entire thing on your own, and to realize how messed up she is because of the way she speaks about Stephan, their relationship, what she does with Maddie, and poor Maddie's demise. She has her story that in her mind, she's sticking to it, and Maddie is deceased, and that's done. It's over. She's dumped, and it's a very detached way of speaking about a human that you gave birth to. That's your own child. That's really, really bizarre. her reactions and her affect. Very, very bizarre.
Absolutely. KJ Welton, sorry I am late. You used to say you thought she would be arrested eventually. Why do you think different now? I feel she is so guilty and upsets me too. KJ Welton, I 100% think she's guilty as hell. And I swore early on in this investigation she would be charged. Now, I'm going to have to eat my words. I don't think she's going to be charged. I think they made up their mind, and they early on in the investigation said, oh, well, they gave her this derivative immunity. If necessary, we'll use her to testify against Stephan Stearns. That was never necessary because he pled guilty. Now, they really just want to sweep this under the rug. She's not going to be charged. Is that justice? That she's not charged at all? Because she has a criminal liability in this case, and she'll never be held accountable. Tandy Lyon from the chat. That interview just blows my mind. This is her dead child she's talking about, who was murdered by the guy she's talking about. You would think she was talking about how she sorts laundry. Tandy Lyon, I agree with you, man. You're preaching to the choir. 100% agree with you. Just absolutely horrible, horrible situation. Let's get back to the interview.
On any of these roads? It's just that he was on the main road? I didn't think he ever even knew where St. Cloud was, because we've never driven down that way ever.
No, you live in Kissimmee, right?
Yeah, I know, but to me, he's never had a reason to ever drive down to St. Cloud, ever. There's no store or anything he goes to down there. Everything is in Kissimmee or Orlando by the mall.
Florida Mall?
Yeah.
Orlando Mall?
Yeah, Florida. I sent the last detective 3 spots. I could have recalled him telling me he wanted to visit Monday when he left the house in the afternoon and got the flat tire. He had mentioned a few of those shops, so I sent them over to you guys. But there's honestly nowhere I can think of. We've never gone to the only wooded area that we've ever gone together would be Shingle Creek Regional Park, where the Pioneer Village is.
Okay.
That whole trail there, we had scooters, and he had an electric skateboard kind of thing. We would all cruise the creek, explore. We've taken a canoe up that creek before. Then the Kissimmee Trail. There's a trail that runs right behind my house starts right behind my house and goes all the way to that bridge on Giant Parkway that says Kissimmee on it. That whole trail, we've done that as well. That's the only places I could think that he may have gone, because that's where I know I've gone with him before. But anywhere else, I have no idea.
So our ERT team, so emergency response team, it's just a group of people who search areas. Doesn't have to be wooded, can be wooded, can be swampy. They've been out for 3 days. They're gonna be out all weekend. They will eventually, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's in 2026. Okay. I don't think you want that to take too long. Right? I'm sure you'd like to have a funeral. I'm sure you'd like to have some kind of memorial service. The last thing you want is for us to call you in a year and say, hey, we found remains. We don't know. Okay. That may not be something you thought about till just now, but I can tell you, being someone who investigates homicide, that is something that everybody has to come think about eventually. If you can think of anything that would assist us in making that happen for you today versus 2 years from now, regardless of why you know or how you know, we need it.
No, I know. If I knew anything, I would tell you right now. I promise. I want her back so bad. I want to think about planning a funeral.
What has your communication been like with his father since this?
I've limited contact over the last 2 days because I know too much and I don't want to tell them anything.
You don't want to tell them what we've told you, or you don't want to tell them what you know?
No, I don't want to tell them what you guys have told me. I can't. I don't want to share any. It's so difficult because I've known them for just as long as I've known Stephan. They feel like absolute shit right now. I know that they kind of got into a fight because Chris started, are you sure we know our son? Are you sure we know our son? I don't think we know him at all. The mom was defending him, but now with everything, with the evidence on the phone coming out, they know. They know he's a piece of shit.
We've talked to his dad, and his dad knows as much as you know. He knows his son's a rapist. He knows his son's a murderer. He's talked to us. He's been very open with wanting to help in any way he can, whether that's technological, whether that's verbal.
Yeah, he even had, I was with him when he turned in his knife to you guys. He remembered he had a knife on him and gave it to you guys. I thought that was...
Have you talked to Chris about Stephan needing a lawyer?
Yeah.
When?
I think when you guys showed me the photos.
So we showed you photos of Stephan raping. And
No.
the first thought you had was to ask his father if he should get a lawyer?
No. I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped until yesterday. I saw the picture of the oral sex happening. And I knew that was true, right? That's evidence. That's for real. That's fucking happening. But I kept thinking, they're going... I don't know why I can't tell you why my brain kept thinking, no, he didn't kill her. Not that he didn't kill her, but she's still missing. She's still out there. She was taken. Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay. But I swore I felt in my body she was still alive. She was still out there. I told Chris to get him a lawyer because I felt like you guys were chasing the wrong person. But you weren't. You're not.
We showed you a picture. The picture you saw, she was giving a blowjob to a grown-ass man, and you told his dad to get him a lawyer. Missing, right? Now you...
That is so powerful, Mike, when they confront her with that evidence that, she was to a grown-ass man, what he said, and your reaction was to tell his father to get him a lawyer. That's not a mother. That's not someone who's protecting her daughter from this monster. And when the detective hears her say that, he's baffled. He can't even believe that. And I would bet that if you queried or were able to talk to the detectives on this case, they would say 100% Jennifer Soto should have been prosecuted.
Bill, unfortunately for them, they don't get to make that decision. It's made at the prosecutor's office by whoever's assigned counsel there, or maybe by a bureau chief. But absolutely right that they see this stuff and they're sick of it, and they're looking at her, and some people may feel sorry for her because doesn't seem to be that stable. I don't. She may be a little bit vulnerable because Stephan Stearns was targeting her. Mandy in the chat said people who are like this, these pedophiles who groom, they are going after the mother to get access to the daughter. So Stephan realized this lady is a little bit off her rocker, and he's going to have access to the daughter. And this went on for years. And for her to say, I just discovered this, and oh, by the way, I just discovered this thing, and so therefore you don't hold me accountable for anything that happened before this. But yeah, my first instinct is to tell his father to get him a lawyer. There's this real disconnect between finding out what this monster has done to your daughter and then saying, oh, by the way, yeah, he needs a lawyer because you police are on the wrong trail. You should be going after the real killer there. You shouldn't be going after him. And it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But this is the kind of stuff that you deal with when you're trying to prosecute someone. You have a witness like this who may be involved, and they're going to get some immunity for their testimony. And you realize that, you got to give her a pass, when in fact, it turns out you didn't need to because he pled, but you didn't know that at the time. But you have to make these terrible, terrible deals in order to shore up your case against him. And maybe it wasn't really necessary, but that detective, you could see he was like shocked, like, tell me one more time, this is how you act. He was flabbergasted. He was caught flat-footed by her physical response and her trying to, explain away why she thinks that this guy would do something to her daughter, but not something else. That's really a really strange, twisted mind that she has.
But then you just thought she was missing. And we were showing you our investigative lead being raped. A blowjob is rape. Not consensual. Whether she wants to do it or not, that is not consensual. And you prioritized him again. You prioritized him by offering him or telling his dad to get him a lawyer. Not what the fuck did he do? Not, hey, we need to figure out what happened. No, let's protect Stephan.
I wasn't shocked.
No, that's not shock. That is your natural instinct to protect Stephan. Okay? And if that's naturally how you react, that's fine. But that goes into what I've been telling you this whole conversation is I don't believe a lot of the things you're saying, and I don't believe a lot of the things you say you weren't aware of. And that is because you've now shown me twice that your first reaction, no matter what you were told or shown, missing and we're seizing the cell phone, or we're showing you pictures of her giving him a blowjob, your first reaction is to protect Stephan. So now, murdered by Stephan, you're aware of this, you were shown pictures of this, you were shown pictures of her body in his car with a seatbelt on, right? We have played it out for you. Now you're in a stage where he's in jail, you know she's passed away, and now you can feel emotion, right? Until that point, when you were shown that she was deceased, your continued first reaction is to protect this guy. You just said, I only saw a picture of him, whatever your verbiage was, I say blowjob, of his penis in her mouth, and your first reaction was, fuck. Oh my, victimized? No. She's being abused? No. It's Stephan needs a lawyer. Who the fuck cares if we think he killed her?
I don't know why. I don't know why I said that.
But that's the problem. You don't know why. So the reaction in your mind is you are continuously protecting this guy. So why do I sit here and believe that you don't? Because right now, you know Stephan killed her. You know Stephan's been raping her. You know without her body, can he be charged with murder?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you don't know what we can do. Do I think we can charge him with murder? It's not up to me. Should he be charged with murder? Yes.
Please.
Does your role in her life lead this to happen? I'll be honest. Yes.
I know.
You know, folks, this detective is excellent. And if anyone finds this line of questioning too harsh, to the point, too bad. This is a murder. This is a murder with a rape. You're going to play pussyfoot with this lady? No, you're going to go for the jugular like he's doing. And he should be, because guess what? After this interrogation, I would have put handcuffs on her, but he probably didn't have permission. He was probably running it by his boss. I think we should lock her up. She's involved in this. At the very least, she's complicit through negligence, endangering the welfare of a child. If there was a crime in the penal law called stupidity, she would have an A felony for stupidity because she's a dope, and this detective is going at her. And if this case was going to go to trial, she would have had no choice but to testify against Stephan Stearns, because that would have been the only way she would have kept her ass out of prison. And her ass belongs in prison. It really does. There's no way in my mind that she should be a free person today, Mike.
Bill, as a parent, myself and you, and there she is, her only child. She knew what was going on. The picture that she was shown was shocking to her, but she didn't want to know. She pretended not to know what had been going on for a while. She's got some sort of strange dependent relationship with Stephan. As he said several times, your first reaction after finding out what happened, after I showed you the picture and you know that he's the number one suspect, your reaction all the time is always protect him. She's protecting him because she needs to protect him. And she's giving away her daughter at the cost of her daughter's life. She wants to protect this guy. This interview occurred sometime probably in March, and it was weeks after Maddie went missing. It was weeks after her body was found, and here she is being confronted. And this is, the detective is providing her with the opportunity for that come to Jesus moment where she is confronted by what's happening, and she's got to, understand and acknowledge it. And she can't because it's all about Stephan. And that's what you and I and everyone else, and parent or not, we find reprehensible. It's abominable. How could she not be charged? She could absolutely be charged for aiding and abetting that kind of SA and filing false police report and all kinds of other things. But she did it to protect Stephan. She did it to take care of Stephan. She did it because she needed Stephan. That is incomprehensible to a normal person. And unfortunately, she gets a pass on all of the stuff. You knew, as you said, you would love to put the handcuffs on her 30 seconds after her answering those questions. He went hard at her. He had to, and he got some good admissions. But you're right. At this point, the district attorney's probably already said, he's the guy we're going to get as much information out of her as you can. And we're going to have her plea something. We're going to have her give her immunity. We're going to make a deal with her, and she will have to testify and repeat word for word everything that she said to you. She'll have to repeat on the stand.
100%. Sean Pellegrino. Hey, it's Jay. I've been livid. If I was interviewing her, I'd have probably broken something against the wall.
Yeah.
After hearing her demented answers. Tandy Lyon, absolutely, she belongs in prison. Former prosecutor here probably shouldn't have admitted that, laugh out loud. Courtney C. loved this analysis. New Jersey Kathy, that's what I'm picking up on here, listening to this interview here. One of the things that you get from this interview is that she's an enabler, and she's been almost like brainwashed by this dirtbag named Stephan Stearns, who she found to be more important in her life than her own daughter.
Since she was a child, since her victimization started, it occurred under your roof, and you acted like it didn't exist. And knowing the victimization, knowing how ongoing it is, knowing that you saw a picture of it, not just us telling you, not me and him saying, hey, listen, he's being, I think they had a bad relationship. They showed you a fucking picture of it, and you still protected him. So how am I supposed to not think that the thought process in your mind is until she's found, Stephan can't be charged with murder? Because we both now know that you don't want him to be charged with murder because you want him to have a lawyer.
No, I don't. That
Part
was
of the blowjob.
That was
then.
then.
He can't be charged with murder.
That was then. Everything that you guys have shown me since then and have showed me that he's
So we
lying
had to show
this
you a
whole
picture
time.
of her dead in a car for you to finally not take his side? Enough? Do you not see where I'm coming from? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but it makes absolutely no sense that you were is Stephan.
I don't know.
Where does your mind go? Stephan. There should have been no doubt in your mind when they showed you that picture of what he was doing to you, that you had any care in the world other than I want that motherfucker to die. Whether you believe in the death penalty or not, he protected him. So now we're talking about her disappearance and where her body is. Why do I believe that you're still not protecting him? Because you say so? Because you can't explain why you protect him. You can't explain what is inside of you that makes you protect Stephan. And you may never be able to explain it. But eventually we're going to have to figure it out because you haven't convinced me that you're still not protecting Stephan. I got all these people out here searching. I haven't seen my own kid in days because I'm looking. I truthfully believe that I can't go home and see my kid is because you're protecting. I can't go because you're people sitting in the woods just waiting for me to tell them where to go, but I can't because I think you're in trouble.
I don't care about him. I want him to go to jail. I want the worst thing possible to happen to him in jail. I know what happens to predators in jail. Like, I'm ready for that. Like, please. I don't give a fuck about him. I'm not protecting him.
But you knew he was a predator when you got shown the picture. And then you text his dad that he needs a lawyer. And you hope that he invoked, was the words I was told.
What?
You hope that he didn't talk to us. He needs a lawyer.
No.
All over a picture. You didn't care. You didn't care then. Oh, whether sex isn't important to you, that wasn't anything close.
I knew what I saw was
He was
terrible.
a predator right then and there. That's the day you found out he was a predator.
Yeah.
Yes. And after you found out he was a predator, did you not say he needed a lawyer?
I did.
So why today, Friday at almost 3 o'clock, 5 days into the disappearance, 2 days since you probably found out, or 1 day since you found out she was murdered, do I believe you that you're not telling me where he went, or that he didn't disclose to you where she was, or what caused this to happen? Is listen, I know I've been doing whatever, or listen, this fucking happened. How do I believe that that didn't happen when everything you've shown me is protect Stephan? Now, once have you shown priority in this conversation, in this investigation? You're coming here looking for her. You reported her missing. Trouble for not doing that. But outside of you reporting her missing, and I may be wrong, I haven't been involved in all aspects of it, but you have not shown me one bit that you prioritized her over him. And that sucks. Not because we're working our asses off for your family, not because we have people out there sweating their asses off for your family, but because I feel like all I care about is your care is to make sure Stephan doesn't get held fucking accountable.
Well, I don't care anymore.
You know, again, this detective is excellent. He's really laying it on her. and he's trying to get her information. Heather, whatever, thank you so much for the $9.99 super sticker. Thank you. As you can see, so many of us still wonder about this. And that's why I'm showing this interview, because the case, obviously, Stephan Stearns has pled guilty. He's been sentenced to life without parole. He pled guilty to the SA, I believe, and there was no contest to the murder.
Yeah.
So he's never, ever getting out. But the whole gist of this show was to show the complicity of Jennifer Soto. And why today is August 27th. She's never been charged. And it appears that she never will be, that she's going to walk scot-free. And that when you watch this interview and this outstanding homicide detective, you can see that she is a mess and she is complicit in this case and she should be charged.
More because we're being assholes, because I'm not being nice.
No.
But up until Thursday, it was okay that she gave him a blowjob. No big deal. Get a lawyer.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't okay. I saw that and I was in shock. And I don't know why my first reaction was to tell him to get a lawyer, but I saw that and I was in shock and I was just like, I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe.
It's easy to believe it now. We showed you pictures of it. You can't deny it anymore. The sex was okay. The murder's not. At least that makes sense.
No, that's okay.
I want to know what it is. And not because I think you're a bad parent, not because I think you're a bad dead or alive, she's missing. Her body is out there. Her body needs to be recovered so she can have a proper burial, a proper funeral. She needs to be laid to rest. Your family needs to be able to mourn her. And we need that information. That is life. That is not life of the law. That's not life of the sheriff's office. That is common decency. That is what she deserves. That is what you deserve. That is what your family deserves. But the longer that happens, the longer it takes us to find her, the less likely that's going to be for you guys. And I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I truly am. But deep down, you haven't showed me that I am.
I don't know what I need to show you.
Prioritize her over Stephan. Stephan, think of places he would have dumped her body. Think of places he went, things you talked about, things you discussed, whether it's this week, last week. Don't put it in your mind that he's been victimizing you, or don't put in your mind that I'm being a dick. What can I think about to find out where Stephan put her? You know more about where he goes, what he's doing, or what he would do than you want to realize. That's natural, not because I'm telling you, but because that's natural. I have best friends. I know more about them than I think I know about them. I just need to sit down and think about it. So I need you to sit down and think about it. Whether you need a minute, we're not in this room, whether you want to do it with us in this room, we need to leave here with an idea of where we can go look for. That is one thing we can agree on.
I've sent you the list of the stores that he may have stopped at and didn't stop at. The only outdoorsy places I can think of that we've ever gone to that he would know about would be Shingle Creek or Kissimmee Trail. I don't know if he knows where Lake Toho is, but that could be another option.
Because you think it's a wooded area? Because it's a place you guys have talked about together?
Because it's a wooded area with a lake, with gators. Like, we haven't discussed anything. This topic, I never asked him if he directly. I never thought he could have. I always assumed the best in him. But I didn't ask him directly. I didn't even suspect that until you guys showed me that picture upstairs. We're here. I don't know. I'm just thinking of, if I name places, it's going to be wooded areas that I can think of, but he hasn't told me anything. Like, he has not told me, or we haven't discussed.
So him going to 192 that day, all you know is that he went to 192.
He said he wanted to visit House Card Rules. That was one of, he named 3 stores, and that's one store I can remember him listing on that list.
House Card Rules?
Yeah, I don't have my phone.
We'll get your phone a little bit. House Card Rules. What kind of store is that?
I don't know if that's like a video game or card game or board top game store.
But that's on 192.
Close to one, I think.
You know, folks, just so you know the time frame of this, Madeline's body hasn't been found. And they're trying to get Jennifer Soto to come in line with them to admit that she's spoken about this with Stephan. And he may have mentioned places that perhaps he could have or would have dumped the body. Let's remember that the way the investigators put Stephan Stearns near the location where the body was dumped was a witness that called up and said they saw him changing a flat tire. And that is how they found Madeline Soto's body, not from Jennifer Soto. But during this interview, that was the information that they were trying to get. And one of the reasons I wanted everyone to watch this interview is because I don't think you can watch this interview and really truly say that Jennifer Soto is not somehow responsible, in some way, criminally responsible for what happened to her daughter. Just the part where she allows them to sleep in the same bed. Boom, right there, endangering the welfare of a minor, and perhaps even through accessorial conduct, complicity in the SA of her daughter. So playing this will give everyone an idea of what we're dealing with and why we believe, and many of you believe, because many of you have spoken to me, that Jennifer Soto should have been and could still be, but I doubt she will be, charged as a acting in concert during these crimes. Mike.
Yeah, it's 99% chance that you won't be charged. There's a small chance she could possibly be charged if any other evidence ever came to light about what had gone on in that house and the essay of Madeline or the death of Madeline that connects Jennifer directly to that essay and that murder. But with the active case closed, the detectives have gone on to other cases. That's put away. The whole case is closed. They don't expect anything to ever happen. So it would take some other independent source information a person to contact the police with independent source information that the police don't already have, that she hasn't already spoken about, that's brand new, fresh eyes looking at it for the first time, that implicates Jen Soto in the essay or the homicide of her daughter. That's really the only way that you could get her on the hook for something involved in this case. It could possibly happen, but since everything is closed up and it's not being actively investigated, you just have to hope that some witness somewhere could provide one piece of evidence that would connect her back to this case, and that the police could go after her, the district attorney could go after her. But that's like 1 in a million chance.
Let me finish up this interview because it gives people a good idea of what we're dealing here relative to Jennifer Soto.
I think close to 182 somewhere.
And he said he wanted to go to 3 stores.
Yeah. But he did tell me that I just don't remember which one.
Are there woods in that area? Are you familiar with 192?
No, not where these stores are. I have no idea.
Other than you came up with wooded areas that you know of.
Yeah.
You came up with wooded areas that you think he could dump a body in.
Because I've been there with him, yeah.
I need to know wooded areas where he travels. Right? You're saying we've been there, so she could be there. So that tells me she's not there. It tells me it's a waste of a search.
Okay.
Because when I put 90 plus people there, that's all day. Right? We got to coordinate that. We got to put them there. So we need fruitful searches.
Yeah.
So I need likely places that you think, and I need places you think based on the conversations with him, not because you can picture in your mind that there's trees there.
Okay. no conversation I can think of where he's named interest in being anywhere near woods or it being along his way.
You said he got a flat tire. Tell me about the flat tire you got.
So he said he got a flat tire. I'm not sure when he got a flat tire, but he said he got a flat tire and then came directly home, and he got home around 2:40. So flat tire, he said he was driving down 192 and it just popped and shredded and fell apart. And he pulled over into a plaza and changed the tire for the first time in a very long time, and said he hurt himself doing it. The frame of the car, something came down on his finger.
All his lies, I don't care, but I want to know what you question him about. Why was he there? What was he doing? There's no way you're the most trusting woman in the world. You just don't ask clarifying questions. I know no relationship I've ever been in is that trusting. He just tells you he's gone at 3 a.m, getting a fucking Wawa, and you're like, whatever, bet. Same thing with this. It's like, I got a flat tire, was here. Why is he at these places? Do you not question him? Why were you on 192? Why did you dip out at 3 a.m. with my car?
I didn't know
this is 2 times you went to 192. You went to 192 the day she disappeared, right? He's roaming, looking for her south of where she went missing, because supposedly she went missing. And 192 is south of where that is.
And I
not very likely that that's the route she went on foot or abducted, and that him driving around is somehow going to locate her.
And he did tell. I did question that. I was like, when I asked him where he's searching, he said 182. I said, why? That's nowhere where she would be. And he didn't give me a clear answer, and I don't know why I didn't push it. I just thought he was being stupid and oblivious, because I don't see him as the smartest man. Like, I don't. I let him do what he does, but I don't trust a lot of his. Is the word judgment? I'm not sure, but I just don't trust that he makes the smartest decisions sometimes. Like, he likes to act like the smartest man in the room, but I don't think he is.
Do what he does. Meaning?
I'm sorry?
You said, I let him do what he does.
Yeah.
So,
if he wants to just get up and go to the store, I'll ask where you're going, but I won't stop him. Just let him go on his way. I'll let him do what he wants to do.
What do you think happened? Monday to now. You know she's deceased. We showed you pictures that she's deceased. We know that she was probably deceased Sunday into Monday. We didn't see her Monday morning.
I still don't want to believe she's deceased. I know you showed me pictures, but
for the purpose of this conversation, I need you to believe it, because I need you to figure it out. I need you to tell me what you think happened to her.
I think he killed her that night.
How?
I don't know. Could it be possible that he drugged her? Could he have choked her? I just don't know how you kill someone and don't leave a mess or don't leave evidence. Or, I mean, was there a mess? Was there evidence? I haven't gone upstairs. I don't know what you guys. I barely went into the house today, so I don't know what.
I need to know what you think happened.
I think he killed her.
How? You mentioned drugged her. You mentioned other things. Explain your reasoning behind those assumptions, and we'll move forward day by day.
So he had access to benzos and I think Lunesta.
What are those? I'm not familiar with that.
Benzodiazepines are anxiety medications which relax you and can make you sleepy.
Okay.
And Lunesta, I think, is a sleeping medication, like for insomnia. So I don't know if it's possible he gave her something and she was drugged. In those photos that you showed me where you're saying she's dead, maybe she was drugged. But if she is dead and it was done upstairs, I could just only imagine that he choked her. I don't know how else you would kill someone and not leave a mess.
It's still amazing to me that she's talking about her daughter. You know, how you would kill someone and not leave a mess. He probably choked her. I don't know. I have a real problem with that type of disconnect when she's talking about her own daughter. And I find this, and I found that this interview with this detective, who is excellent, by the way, an excellent homicide investigator, an excellent interviewer, an excellent interrogator, he's trying to toss it to her. He's giving her enough rope to try to hang herself with some of her statements. And for some of them, she took the rope and she did hang herself. But guess what? She's not being charged. So what was all of this effort about, you know? Folks, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, hit the like button, share us with your friends and your family, and join the Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories family. Mike, we both agree that Jennifer Soto should have been charged. There's no doubt she's guilty. However, I don't think she's going to be charged. Your final thoughts, Mike?
The police did an exceptional job in this case, and fantastic all-around kudos to them. They built a rock-solid case against Stephan. They got Jen to admit all kinds of stuff that implicates her in knowingly allowing the essay to happen. You know, and you said it, that you know they want to slap the cuffs on her. But a month after this interview, they granted her complete, they call it derivative use immunity. And it was the prosecutor's call, not the cops. It was the prosecutor's call to give her immunity, which unfortunately, as we saw, all the good law enforcement work done against her, throwing things at her. What do you think happened? Where do you think she is? You know, throwing stuff at her, making her respond to these questions, all that hard work, it just went down the drain in this case. And I think that was an unnecessary use of immunity. They had a tremendous amount of information. I don't think they probably, from what I know, I don't think they probably needed to give her any kind of immunity. And if they didn't, that would have given the ability for the police to lock her up and charge her as an accomplice. But they made that call to give her immunity, and I think it was the wrong call in this case, and wasted a lot of great law enforcement work.
I 100% agree with you. So, folks, that's our show for this evening. People wanted to know how we felt, because I had said all during this case that I really felt that Jennifer Soto will be charged. Just be patient. I'm going to have to pull that back now. I don't think she's ever going to be charged. I think they had their opportunity. They had their probable cause. They had their evidence. And whoever is in the decision-making position that made this decision, it's over. She's never getting charged. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff on behalf of myself and Professor Mike Geary. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night, and God bless everyone.
One episode just ain't enough.